I don't know what's colder, Dave Brown, the weather or the hot stove, but today we're going to dive into a little bit of what has happened peripherally around the Twins, couple little Twins notes, and then we'll dive back into our series of obscure Twins free agents who you forgot the team signed. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE, and I'm not as blurry as I look. Apparently, we've got my cameras glitching a little bit, but we'll get that figured out as we can. But anyway, thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We thank you for being a big part of the show by being active as an audience member. And again, if you have questions, comments, queries, quandaries, anything that you want to bring to the table with the show, feel free to hit me in the DMs at Brandon_WARNE or at Locked On Twins. Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at Jase Medical and use your promo code Locked On to get 20% off your order. That's JASEmedical.com. I don't know what's going on, Dave. I'm still blurry on this screen here. I'm not loving it.
Does this have something to do
with
we're
back. Now we're back.
Background, I guess it doesn't.
No. I was just suffering from Robert Stack syndrome, which is no matter how high def your camera is, you are appearing blurry. But yeah, I've been watching Unsolved Mysteries today, if you can't tell. Diving into the first segment today, I got a few different news and notes to kind of jump into. Really, the only thing that's super Twins related is that they signed relief pitcher Hobie Harris to a minor league deal. And I don't know much about Hobie Harris. I suspect you don't either, Dave Brown. But in the time that it's taken me to stumble over this intro, he has thrown 27 splitters. So it's split, and more splitters. And I think this has potential to be kind of their every offseason gem of a move. You know, it's Brock Stewart. They had Jared Burton a while back, Casey Fiend a while back. Bullpens, it takes a village to build a bullpen. And I think that as much as people don't want to admit it, signing guys like Hobie Harris and even to some extent Josh Stelmont is not a bad way to go if you're going to play in free agency.
Well, that's quite a list of periodic gems that the Twins have had. And I'm not being sarcastic. Those are good, on occasion, good guys to have in the bullpen. You just never know. It's you're kind of guessing a little bit. Maybe scouts would hate that term, but there's a little bit of that going on, and a little cross your fingers and hope and all that. So we'll see what the Twins can do with him and what he can do in spring training. And at least St. Paul has a splitter guy at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And, we'll see. The Twins didn't go to a lot of these guys immediately, Brock Stewart, etc. So even if he doesn't make the team out of spring training, and chances are he won't, there's an opportunity for him to contribute somewhere down the line. Former Twin Travis Blankenhorn back to the Nats on a minor league deal. Dave, the only thing Twins fans remember from Travis Blankenhorn's Twins career was in 2021, he had just an egregious error that would have, I believe the play would have ended the game in Oakland. The Twins have a history of some pretty ugly losses in Oakland, like come from behind or come from ahead, blowing a lead loss. And Blankenhorn was part of one of those very early in 2021. Since then, has kicked around as kind of a utility corner guy with the Mets and a few other teams. But for Twins prospect fans, just another thing to note, back to the Nationals on a minor league deal. I feel like if you were going to sign somewhere on a minor league deal, the Nationals probably would be a good place to look.
Yeah, they're the middle of a rebuilding decade. So
Yeah.
I think you're right. Blankenhorn, that's a good. I know the highlight you're talking about. Somebody had asked, I think, a general question on Twitter about what, excuse me, loss sticks with you, to this day. And somebody used that highlight of him throwing the ball away in Oakland. So
Mhm.
Blankenhorn is a good name. If you don't want to swear, if you just want to shout his name, it sounds like you're really upset and
Mhm.
swearing at someone. And that
Blankety
goes
Blankenhorn.
together with that concept very well.
A few more notes that I'll try to tie into the Twins. Jordan Hicks gets a 4-year deal for $44 million with the Giants. I cannot believe for a second that they'll actually make him into a starter. It does not make sense to me to take a reliever who throws the piss out of the ball and has not been healthy to make him a starter. We saw guys like John Papelbon move to the bullpen and just never move out of there. I'm not feeling it. What about you?
Boy, I forgot about Jonathan Papelbon's transformation into the bullpen. That's interesting. Reverse. My thought was, it was a carrot that they used to get him in. Maybe he wasn't agree. He's like, all right, well, I'll agree to your financial terms if you give me a chance to start. So I think it's one of those situations, and I think it's the team is not necessarily interested in competing at the moment. So we're going to experiment here and see if he can do this. I'm not sure if Hicks has the fastball command to be a starting pitcher. He's got some different pitches, and there's a mix that might work. So that's one reason to try. But I'm not sure if the basic is there for him. If people kind of wait him out, it's going to be some long but short outings, if you know what I mean. Lots of walks and all that. We'll see. If it's his dream, there's more money in starting. Seth Lugo, showed that, and people of that nature. So I think that's one reason to do it. And it's also very hard to be a consistent relief pitcher.
Mhm.
It's the results. It's just very easy to skew your results, and it seems like you had a bad year when maybe you did, maybe you didn't. So starters have a little more agency over their results.
Yeah, and with a 4-year deal, it's hard to know because if you want someone for 4 years, it's probably as a starter more as a reliever, but not sure. And again, another organization that you could do worse to land with if you wanted to make some changes pitching wise. Joey Votto reportedly feeling good. Do you see any scenario where the Twins should show interest in him?
Oh, should absolutely. Um, I would want to look into where he is physically, and I
Yeah,
mean that in a how hurt is he kind of way, not like is he in Cincinnati or Toronto.
right.
Um, he'd be good for or he wouldn't be bad for the clubhouse. It would lock them in a little bit with DHs and position versatility. I'm not sure what Joey has left on defense. I would like to see him go out with a chance to win and a chance to have a season like he did a couple years ago, maybe 2021, I think it was, when he sort of had a rebirth, and or maybe it was 22. But the last 1 or 2 years, he's had a lot of injuries, and at 40-ish, it's hard to keep healthy. And maybe he also wants to get a little more push for the Hall of Fame. I think it's not a slam dunk, because I think there are a lot of people who won't vote for him because he's short in home runs or whatever. But I think he's a Hall of Famer for sure in my book, and I'll probably vote for him when I get a chance, if I get a chance.
Oh, let's hope so. Brent Suter, 1-year deal with the Reds with an option, $2.5 million. Maybe not so much to love in terms of velocity, but for whatever reason, his quality of contact against him has been really, really good. Should the Twins have been interested at that price? Because I feel like the answer is possibly yes, although they do have a lot of guys kind of hanging around the periphery, like Cole Sands. Even Stalmont, technically, you could say, is that Brent Hedrick, even maybe like a Simeon Woods Richardson. There's plenty of guys on the periphery, but I don't know. I think I would have been interested in Suter, soft tossing lefty. It kind of gives you something you don't already have. And one thing I believe about bullpens is if you give teams different looks, you don't have to have a bunch of guys who throw the crap out of the ball. You can really mess with them going Suter one inning and then Juwander on the next would be pretty crazy.
Well, I think he's good at ground balls.
Mm-hmm.
I have not looked up his splits, his lefty-righty splits. He seems like the kind of guy that maybe would be a little dangerous against right-handed batters.
Yep.
And with a newer rule about you got to stay in for 3 straight guys, usually. The Twins are pretty good with lefties in the bullpen. I think they have enough depth out there.
Yeah.
That it's not the end of the world. It seems like the Reds are, and I say these things and I'm sort of being critical, but I also leave room for being incorrect. The Reds seem to be spending a lot of money on the bullpen, and that is a tricky subject.
Yep.
That's hard to do well, and there's still lots of guys left. Suter's a guy that I would have thought maybe that it's not that he's overpaid by any means, but I don't think that the Twins are hurting because they didn't sign Brent Suter. It's I think they have enough depth on that side of the pen that it's okay.
Last thing before we go to break, another lefty. Orioles showing some interest in James Paxton. I know we've bantered about him. I said about back-to-back. That doesn't sound right. We've bantered about with regards to him signing with the Twins. When in doubt, rewrite. Just don't do it on the fly while you're recording. Paxton, could you see the Twins kind of getting in that mix? And what do you think a contract looks like at this point of the offseason? Because, I don't necessarily think top-end money is not in play. Maybe fewer years. Maybe it's a different marketplace as far as teams that are interested. But we've really hit a frozen, frigid patch, and all you have to do is scroll, the aggregator sites to try find news, and there's just nothing in the last 4 or 5 days. So Paxton makes some sense to me. Again, it's a gamble on a guy who's really good when healthy. And you and I have both said if the Twins are going to gamble, or at least I know I've said, if the Twins are going to gamble, they want something that's going to pay off handsomely if it pays off.
Yeah, I think he's probably he's close to 20 a year, I would think. I think he's looking at 2 and 20, and I'm right.
20 million per. Yeah, so similar to the Manaea contract then. I think that was 2 and 38.
Right. Yeah, I mean he's older, a little bit more of a history, and he showed that last year he could be healthy. So if I were him, I'd be asking for $20 million a year. I don't know for how long. And we're definitely seeing a bit of a drag there. And just the other day, the Red Sox, or not the Red Sox, but the Cubs general manager or president Jed Hoyer comes out and says, I see our situation as being a small market team. So, if the Cubs can say that, that's definitely just a kind of a warning to everybody that they're trying to keep the prices down a little bit. So that's sort of why here it is mid-January and James Paxton's still free.
Yeah, and that frankly stinks for the state of the game, but not really up to me. I think what would endear Paxton to the Twins, and this will be the last thing before we head to break, is that short term. If they could have signed Sonny Gray for 2 years and the AAV he got, that's certainly way more palatable than what did he get, 3 and 75, I think. And so 2 and 40 to me makes a lot more sense. And especially too, if you can put in, escalators for innings pitched or for performance. But at this point, who knows how hard of a line he is holding. Let's take a quick second and talk about our friends at Jase Medical. We'll follow that with a little love for eBay Motors. And then right back at it with our feature from the last 4 episodes. Free agents that you forgot or never even knew the Twins signed. But first, again, a couple words from our sponsors. So again, I know we come to sports and we look to kind of get away from the realities of the world. It's a crazy world. It's been a crazy world for a long time, and it doesn't appear to be getting any less crazy, Dave Brown. And
should sell tickets.
Yeah, right. And so What about though? Let's talk a minute about preparing for real life. According to the FDA, the pharmacies are running out of antibiotics, simple ones like amoxicillin, right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. Super scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if Harper or CJ, my kids, or my wife Mandy, got sick. Well, a supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medication they needed. And that's where Jase comes in. Jase Medical has the Jase case, which is a pack of 5 different antibiotics used to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses like UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, and many others. And those are all things that can happen to anybody. So visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. I thought I got mine within days. So pretty quickly. It's never been, though, more important to be prepared than today. So go to jasemedical.com and use offer code Locked On to get $20 off your first order. Also, our friends at eBay Motors are back in the fold. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, and it also keeps your car alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one car, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your car alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, Dave Brown, we're back into the bullpen, and we have a litany of people to get to here before we get out of here. December 4th, 2006, the Twins were in the midst of kind of this never-ending search for left-handed relief pitching, and we talked about CJ Nitkowski. They ended up settling on Dennis Reyes, but one of the guys that they signed was Carmen Cali. Now, if people don't remember Carmen Cali, he was a fairly well-regarded prospect. Never a top 100, but I feel like, Cardinals pitching prospects always get kind of a natural bump. And, Twins signed him in his age 28 season, pitches 24 games with a 4.71 ERA and 1.81 whip. So that's probably why most people don't remember Carmen Cali.
Yeah, I had an opportunity. You mentioned Carmen Cali the other day. I don't know if it was off the air or on the air, and I had a chance to look him up, but I didn't. I still didn't do it. So I did not remember this guy.
Yeah, it's
no relation to the Cali drug cartel. That's all I know.
Yeah. So again, like the Twins were just they were. Sean Henn came in, and they had all these other guys. Actually, Sean Henn's a little later in our show, so guess I'm stealing my own thunder.
We'll lay that egg when we get to it.
Yeah, right. But Carmen Cali, this was kind of when I was really getting into prospects a little more. And so I knew he had, a little something to him, but that was it for him. He pitched in the big leagues with the Twins and then never again. So 8 days later, though, the Twins go back to the well for a lefty who does not make the big league team, ends up being purchased from the Twins by the Toronto Blue Jays on May 13th, 2007. So about 5 months in the organization before he was gone. Mike Venefro. So again, another southpaw reliever, probably most well-known for either his days with the Rangers or the 0-2 Moneyball A's, if you recall. I'm trying to remember.
Was Sidewinder 3/4?
Was he the guy who they're like, this guy stinks, let's go get Ricardo Rincon, I think?
Well, that sounds true. I haven't seen Moneyball in a while, but you might be accurate there.
So again, just kind of that never-ending look for a left-handed reliever. And actually, there's another one coming here in about a month, not in real life, but in our show, and not in our show in terms of we'll talk about it in a month, but a month later in 2006. Then 2007. I am stumbling.
You have become unstuck in time like Billy Pilgrim.
Yeah.
When you are.
Strange. January 3rd, 2007, Twins sign Ken Harvey. What can you tell me about Ken Harvey, Dave Brown?
I was just thinking of Ken Daly, the left-handed. You were talking about lefties, the old lefty with the Cardinals. Different Ken entirely. All-star with the Royals. I think kind of because someone had to go.
Representation.
Yes. A big, powerful man. Short prime. Is that enough?
Yeah. So the year after he makes the All-Star team, he plays in 12 big league games. Slash is 222, 271, 356, and that's a wrap for his big league career. So not only did he not play in the big leagues in 06, in fact, didn't play anywhere. So I guess I would assume probably injured. And then spends 5 games with Rochester, which was the Twins AAA affiliate at the time, after spending 5 in the GCL. So again, probably a rehab stint of sorts, but only around for a couple months, didn't play that much, and that was that.
Shared his name with another Ken Harvey. Do you remember Ken Harvey? I want to say the safety. Is that? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I remember Ken Harvey for the blooper that I still can't find video of, where the throw came in from the outfield, smoked him in the back or back of the head, and he dropped like a sack of potatoes. And top 5 funniest things I've ever seen on a baseball field, which would mean you'd probably think I would remember it better than I do, but I don't.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, the other Ken Harvey was like a linebacker with the Cardinals and the Washington Football Redskins
in like 1984 or what?
88 to 98. So just before our baseball Ken Harvey came along.
Oh, that sounds like a Freaky Friday kind of thing, or like Brian George playing football.
Like the same dimensions. Football Ken Harvey, 6'2", 237, very close to baseball Ken Harvey's dimensions.
6'2", 240 is what they say for baseball Ken Harvey. So yeah,
wow, that's that's pretty amazing.
That does sound
like the same guy. Who knows?
Sounds like a freaky. Well, that would be why his prime was so short. He was already, used up playing football. Football's a real sport. The next one, this is the one that I was talking about coming a month later, January 9th, 2007. Twins bring in Randy Choate. So Randy Choate, maybe one of the most quintessential lefty specialists of the era, pitched 672 career games, 408 innings. So the quintessential lefty specialist, 85 appearances in 2010 with the Rays, 80 in 2012 between the Marlins and Dodgers. Never pitched in the major leagues for the Twins. And in fact, that was kind of a blip on the radar screen for his career. Twins release him at the end of March. So again, that's probably one of those spring training, let's see what you got kind of deals. But does not pitch for the Twins, and instead goes on to pitch another, looks like 7 MLB seasons and 476 games. So I don't know. Maybe he could have helped them, but he certainly had a lot of baseball left in his left arm. There's no question about that.
476 games, but only 243 innings. So
it's crazy.
Lots of trips to the mound around Randy Choate. This is the kind of guy Rob Manfred wanted to run out of baseball.
Not bad work if you can get it, making a touch over $13 million to get outs 1 or 2 at a time. It's, again, good work if you can get it. And I would say in today's game, he could not. So, Randy Choate, our hats are off to you. You did exactly what you were asked to for 15 big league seasons, picking up 16 wins and 14 losses. That's incredible to me that 30 decisions and 670. It's like, I don't care about decisions, but that's
they're interesting from that standpoint. When especially when he's he comes in half an inning later or gets 1 out and then leaves and then still picks up all those decisions. That's quite a coincidence, probably, but it's something.
Well, yeah, especially if you're pitching when you're trying to save a game, like keep it close. If it's 5-4 in the 7th inning and you've got a lefty up like Jim Tomei and a runner on first, like that's where you go get a guy like this. So yeah, it's not surprising to me that he did this, but again, in this era now, he would be certainly a miscast left-handed reliever. Let's take a second to talk about FanDuel. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up with some pretty funny remaining free agents. Try to get us through a fair chunk of 2007. But first, as I said, a word from FanDuel. The NFL regular season is over. We're actually already past Super Wild Card Weekend. I heard someone say that if you don't say Super Wild Card Weekend, you just say Wild Card Weekend. Roger Goodell shows up on your doorstep and demands a retraction or something like that. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But hey, there's still plenty of time, though, to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. It's the kind of proposition you can't go wrong with, even if you've got luck, such as me. The app is super easy to use, and there are many different ways to bet. There's same-game parlays as they're going on. Find bets in the new Explore tab. You can get a parlay in the Parlay Hub, and that's the best way to find popular parlays. And again, so many more options. You really just got to go check for yourself. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet and make it a good one. But even if it doesn't win, $150 in bonus play, you can't really turn that down. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. All right, we're coming down the home stretch here, Dave Brown, and this one's a doozy. One day after Randy Choate, the Twins bring in, I'll give you a hint. He is probably known most off the field for assaulting an Aruban judge.
Well, that gives it away.
Yeah.
He's a knight, or a former knight. He can only be Sidney Ponson.
Sir Sidney Ponson. And I've heard people say a good bullpen always has a wet guy. Not as gross as it sounds, but you've always got a guy coming out who's looks like he's been working like bricklaying in 100-degree weather in Kansas City, just soaked.
I want to know where you heard that.
I think it was might have been like a Jason Parks thing, or maybe it was definitely a while ago, though. Maybe Craig Goldstein, actually, now that I think about it. We'll have to revisit that. But Sidney Ponson was the wet guy coming out of the bullpen for the first inning, which is not great.
Wet with blood.
No, but I mean, he'd be just soaked. 2-5, 6.93 ERA, but his FIP was only 6.03. So he did outpitch his peripherals a little bit. His peripherals, whatever. 5.5 strikeouts per 9, 1.7 homers per 9. Honestly, kind of surprising he lasted 7 starts. And this was in the era when the Twins were just throwing whatever they could at guys who might have kind of been good at one point, because another one was Ramon Ortiz around this time, and then Jason Marquis. My favorite Jason Marquis anecdote is the Little League World Series, where every player from the Staten Island team's favorite player was Jason Marquis. You can go look it up on YouTube. And it was your favorite player of all time is a journeyman. Okay, actually, no, you know what? My second favorite anecdote is the Washington Nationals commercial. And I if you haven't seen it, you have to, where the Nationals are trying to hype people up for having signed Jason Marquis. And it was Jason Marquis. And it's he was great last year. He had 12 wins in Colorado. He could have signed anywhere in Philadelphia for a cheesesteak. Absolutely incredible marketing by Masson when the Nationals were in the business of picking first overall and getting guys like Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg. But we weren't even talking about Jason Marquis. We were talking about Sidney Ponson. What's wrong with me, Dave?
What?
What's wrong with me?
Well, you talked about Ponson. You mentioned how he would emerge from the bullpen all sweaty and then give up runs. Did he pitch to Mauer?
He would have, in 2007. Yeah. Yep.
So that's a good pivot to Joe Mauer, still 83% on the tracking ballot for the Hall of Fame. He's dropped a little bit. He hasn't been on a few ballots lately that have been turned in. We're going to have to investigate that and have some reprisals.
Yeah.
But it's still looking really good here a week before. It's a week from tonight that we find out.
And you actually penned a column for local website Access Twins on Substack. So if people want to read that, that went up on Monday morning and highly recommended. Very good work, Dave Brown. Thank you so much for that. 5 days later, the Twins signed a former Twin who made a Hall of Famer cry on TV.
Huh.
Made him cry because he had to take him out in the middle of a game. Might have even been the middle of an inning.
Oh, I don't know.
Frank Robinson crying over Matthew LeCroy. I think the opposing team stole like 5 bases on him, and he couldn't even come close.
Right.
And actually, so he was with the Nationals. I heard that he couldn't find the stadium when he first signed with the Nationals either. And so he the first time he went,
he couldn't throw anybody out.
Yeah, he was just driving all. It wasn't quite. Was it Pascual Perez who couldn't find the stadium in Atlanta and just kept looping around and actually missed a start?
In his defense, I believe it was his first start.
Yeah.
Why Ted Turner didn't send somebody to navigate? I guess it was 285. Do I have the interstate right? I don't know. It sounds.
He
good.
didn't.
No. So in his defense, it was his first start, I believe, with the Braves. So it's almost understandable.
Well, I think that Ted Turner was busy watching TBS or creating CNN, or WCW for that matter.
Delegate.
Yeah, you'd think, right? Matthew LeCroy signs with the Twins January 15th. Boy, the Twins in that span of 2 weeks signed 4 guys who did absolutely nothing for them. But again, we'd yearn for that kind of
anything. That's better than what we got right now.
Literally 17 years ago. So for Matthew LeCroy was 17 years ago yesterday. He ends up playing in 7 games, gets 1 double, 3 hits in 20 at-bats, and that was that.
Locked on Twins guest Matthew LeCroy?
No, but hopefully someday. He's actually managing last I saw AAA Rochester, which is not a Twins affiliate, but a Nationals affiliate, and slowly morphing into Ron Gardenhire from like 15 years ago. Like if you look up what Matthew LeCroy looks like right now, I'll wait. You look up what he looks like right now.
Right now, Matthew LeCroy.
Yeah, tell me he does not look like a Ron Gardenhire clone.
I mean, even then, you can see it, even with the Nationals. And I remember what he looks like and didn't really notice then that he looked kind of like a young Gardy. Absolutely. But now it's hilarious. That's crazy.
It couldn't be more evident.
That's not an accident.
No. Nope. Let's wrap with 2 more in-season signings in 2007. June 19th, 2007, Twins signed Mark Hamburger. I have on here, make a fries joke. I'm not sure what that meant. But
you do. It's like a pun or something. Like how the White Sox had Jake Burger and which fry was that? They had a burger, they had a fry, and they had Oscar Colas. White Sox had all 3 of those guys at the same time. Crazy.
And they also had Jason Frazier and Jesse Crane. So you'd have Frazier Crane. And then I also wanted Sam Fuld and Diane Viciedo to be on the same team for Sam and Diane. That never happened because Oakland didn't observe my wishes. But Mark Hamburger, much more interesting guy, I think, off the field than on it. Kind of a quirky dude. Got suspended for using the weed cigarettes, as we colloquially know it.
Is that how we know it?
Yeah, which now is not a big deal.
No, anyway. So a man out of his time. But boy, he must have really been through the grinder.
Well, so he staked his claim to
staked.
Yep, exactly. That was good job. I need someone on my show our show, not my show, to understand my puns, and you are my muse. Signed out of the league that actually I was playing town ball in. He signed a year before, so that's why I never got to face him. But so he was playing town ball. Twins signed him. They end up trading him for Eddie Guardado to bring him back to Minnesota from Texas. Hamburger makes the big leagues, ends up pitching for the St. Paul Saints for a while when they were not affiliated with the Twins, and then just kind of finished off his career.
You know what the pitching coach you would call the pitching coach with Mark Hamburger? The Hamburger helper.
I'm gonna let that one slide.
Slider?
Slider, yeah. Did he throw a slider? Probably. All right, last one, because it really didn't become anything, but on August 9th, 2007, Twins signed Jerome Williams. Do you remember Jerome Williams?
Jerome, send it in, Jerome. Great, mediocre prospect with the Rangers. Big curveball, I think.
Almost has the body type of like a Livan Hernandez.
Yes.
6'3", 260, big, sturdy dude. And so selected by the Giants in the first round of the 1999 amateur draft. Dave, I maintain that society peaked in 1999. What would you think of that?
Well, I mean, some people think we never really made it past 99, and this is all a Y2K illusion. So it will be literally correct.
Yeah. So my favorite Jerome Williams story, he never pitched for the Twins, by the way, but pitched in the big leagues until 2016. So kicked around after Minnesota for a bit. I want to say when he went to, maybe in the Angels, and he's like, yeah, my name is not Jerome, it's Jeremy, or the vice versa.
Yeah.
He was known as the wrong name. Or he might have been known as Jeremy Williams until 2011. I can't remember the exact story, but I know that he was too polite to correct someone, and it just stuck.
Right. So, yeah, we should have been. He was from Hawaii, too. And he wanted it pronounced Jeremy. I had forgotten all about this.
Yeah, and so, yeah, he never corrected anybody, and, 7-8 years into his career.
I still say that that's what's going on with Luis Robert, that he's just...
Robert.
He's Robert, right? Wouldn't he be Robert? I mean, it's Cuba, though. Cuba throws a little bit of a dynamic into it, kind of like Venezuela. They do their pronunciations a little differently there than they do other Spanish-speaking countries.
Well, and yeah, Robert's a little more French, right? Like Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
So maybe
I see what you're doing. Haitian. I don't know. No, I don't know. Maybe Robert is like French or something, like going back a few generations, and they don't want to deal with that, so they call it Robert rather than Robert. So I don't know. It's hard growing up in Cuba. It's hard on your name too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we'll end on that note. Coming back next time, we're going to talk about how the Twins twice signed a future Cy Young winner to a minor league deal and let him get away. So we will we'll talk about that. Yep. And who knows? Maybe the Twins will sign a player in the meantime, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for now, thank you, Dave Brown. Thank you, everyone else, for listening. Easy for me to say.
Everyone else is only one co-host.
Yeah, that's true.
Listening. Okay.
Everyone's going to listen to this live when we drop it live. But anyhow, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Twins, watching Locked On Twins, and we'll see you tomorrow night.